Welcome to Funnel Hacker Radio Podcast, where we go behind the scenes and uncover the tactics and strategies top entrepreneurs are using to make more sales, dominate their markets, and how you can get those same results. Here is your host, Dave Woodward.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Funnel Hacker Radio. You guys are in for a super treat today. I have the opportunity of having my very first time ever having a guest come back for a repeat performance. So with a huge applause, I know you guys can't clap too loud for him, but Todd Brown, welcome. I'm so excited to have you.
I'm so pumped to be here, man. Super jacked.
This is so cool. For those of you guys who don't know Todd, you should. You've already listened to all my episodes, I'm assuming by now. But if you haven't, Todd, obviously, founder of Marketing Funnel Automation. He is a huge supporter of ClickFunnels. He was our very first affiliate to ever win a car from us. Todd is a dear friend. And most importantly, I think the part that for you guys who are listening, Todd is a guy who totally understands the metrics and understands how to really get a funnel to actually perform. And I know everyone who's listening to this, their primary focus, Todd, obviously is how do I actually make money and how do I get this done? So Todd, if you don't mind, I'd love to just dive right in and let's kind of just talk about what it is that you guys do over at Marketing Funnel Automation to do all the researching, the testing, the rollout of a new funnel. What do you guys do? How do you make it? You guys are crushing it. So how are you doing it?
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. First, let me say this, dude. I have to get this out there. I don't think I've even announced this to my list yet, but I cannot even tell you how excited I am to have the opportunity to present again at Funnel Hacking Live. I think we're just a handful of weeks away, and I am pumped, man. I don't think I've been this pumped for an external event, for an event outside of our own event, man. And so I'm not sure when folks are going to be listening to this, but hopefully they either have their ticket already or they're going to at least listen to the recordings in the future if there are recordings available, or you're beat and you missed out on a great event. Yeah, right. But so, what we've done, I think the biggest thing, Dave, since the last time I was on here is we really started to bring our methodology around creating a customer acquisition marketing funnel, which we call E5 CAMP, Customer Acquisition Marketing Protocol. We've really taken that from being the thing that we only teach to our highest end clients to we've really began introducing it more and more to our tribe as a whole. And that's really the focus for us over the next 12 months is really making our methodology, which I'd love to kind of share. I'd love to break down E5 for everybody. But that's really the focus. And that's the process that we use to go from really the idea for a customer acquiring marketing funnel all the way through to the designing and engineering of it, the testing, and then the optimizing, if you will, and then the rolling out. And so if you want, I could go through the different steps so that everybody can kind of take some notes and start to understand the process.
Well, I would love to because I have no idea what E5 means. So
yeah.
I think it'd be awesome. And I know no one else does. So let's dive into it.
Yeah, you got it, man. So in the process, so E5, of course, there are 5 main stages that we go through. These are the same stages that I teach to all of our students, and more importantly, these are the same stages that I go through or that my team goes through when we create a funnel internally, when we create a funnel for one of our agency clients, et cetera. And so the very first step, which is arguably the driest step, but it's also one of the most valuable steps in the entire process, is the first E. Each E in the E5 Customer Acquisition Marketing Protocol represents a different stage. The first E is examine. And this is really, you could kind of replace the word examine with the word research. And really what we're looking at here is there's a process that we go through for looking at 3 different elements. We're looking at 3 different elements, which I'll share in just a second, because frankly, all of the fodder, all of the information, all of the benefits, all of the fears, all of the hooks, everything that we need to know about how to best craft our offer, how to best craft our marketing hook, how to best craft our marketing message comes from this examination stage, comes from this research stage of these three different areas. And the three different areas are, first and foremost, are prospects. And of course, this is typical. Everybody listening to this most likely has heard this before. You really want to understand what makes your prospects tick psychologically, their fears, their desires, the outcome that they're looking for, kind of their existing beliefs, their wants, their emotions, right? Where they're kind of what they're dealing with, their situation, their experience. You really want a three-dimensional picture of your prospect. So as part of the examination stage, there's a series of things that we'll do to examine the prospect. The second category that we look at during this examination stage is competitors. Now, here, in this context right here, this is a little bit different from funnel hacking, like your listeners are no doubt familiar with from you guys and from Russell. Here, in this context, what we're looking at is what your top direct response competitors are doing and saying in terms of their marketing hook, their unique mechanism, which is the kind of the unique way that they deliver the benefits that they're promising to deliver. And we look at their offer. And the reason why we're examining competitors at this stage is because when it comes time for us to engineer our irresistible and superior offer, we want to make sure that it's superior to competitors. So we're not in this stage, Dave, we're not examining competitors to model them. We're really examining competitors so we know what we're not going to do, or so we know what's not sufficient, not good enough. The third category that we examine is the product or the service. And this happens whether it's your own product or somebody else's product. And here is where we dig into the product, because oftentimes the ideas, the hook for the marketing message is going to come from the product. It was guys like Gene Schwartz that talked about, that your marketing hook, your marketing message copyrights itself when you know your prospect and you know your product. Right? The marketing message, it's not based on your creativity. It's not based on wild levels of, of your ability to string together. It comes from a deep understanding of your prospect and a deep set of a deep knowledge of your product or service. And so that's why we always begin with that examination stage. And when you do the examination of those three elements, you're really kind of fully equipped for the second stage. And so before I go to that, does that make sense, Dave, for the first E?
That is awesome. I think, again, I love what you made mention there as far as the whole, product and service piece on the end, how actually the marketing message writes itself. I think if you do it right, man, you guys are crushing it with that. So I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, and that's like, I can't stress that enough for everybody. Frankly, like if you get nothing else from this podcast episode, but you really get this fact that like the more in tune the more you dive in, the more time you invest and spend digging through the product and exploring the product, looking for these little nuances, looking for these little buzzwords, looking for these little kind of terms and phrases, and looking for these little nuggets of interest and insight into kind of the story behind the product, the service, the book, the info course, whatever it is. Oh my gosh, the copy it becomes so much easier. And so that's step one. So step two is really where the bulk of kind of what it is that we do comes into play. And E2, the second E, is the engineering stage. And the engineering stage is, of course, where we design our first iteration or first version of the funnel. We refer to that funnel as a minimum viable funnel. But I want to kind of share the key, and I'm packing it in, Dave. I'm packing it in here. I'm going at lightning pace because I want to pack it in. So the keys here are when it comes to the engineering. Number one, we start with the offer. This is kind of crazy when you think about it. Most people, most marketers will often save the offer for the end. Most marketers will start with the headline, or they'll start with kind of the lead, the opening of the marketing funnel. We start with the offer because the offer is one of the most critical, the most essential components in the entire marketing funnel. An offer, the right offer, a great offer, an irresistible, superior offer can double, triple response, whereas a garbage, weak offer can radically suppress response. So we always start with the offer. Our goal, our aim is to create a superior and irresistible offer. What do I mean by superior? Superior to competitors. And what we do is we take the different components of an offer, each component separately, like let's say, for example, the risk reversal, like the premiums or bonuses, right? And each piece of the offer, we are striving individually to make that superior to what competitors are offering. So we'll look at, let's say, our top 5 to 7 direct response competitors. We'll look at their premiums, and then we strive to make our premiums better, superior, much more valuable. We'll look at their risk reversal, our top 5 to 7 direct response competitors, and then we strive to make a bigger, bolder, more daring risk reversal or guarantee. And we do that for each piece, or for each component of the offer. Then once we've assembled an irresistible and superior offer based on our examination of competitors and based on what we know about our prospect and what they want and our product or service, then we go into the kind of really the foundation of engineering a marketing funnel with our approach, and it involves really 3 things. It involves, number 1, what you and I talked about, I think, or maybe we didn't talk about it, or maybe we touched on it. I can't remember on the last episode, but it actually is what I'm going to be talking about at Funnel Hacking Live, which is the big idea and how you actually develop an idea behind your marketing funnel, behind your marketing message, an idea that is emotionally compelling to prospects and intellectually interesting. And there's a formula that you can follow. There is a process that you can follow, and so that's one of the most valuable marketing lessons that I've ever learned, and that is how to develop the big idea and how to spot a big idea. And so that's one thing. Again, I'm going to be sharing that, and I'm so excited for this. I'm going to be sharing that at Funnel Hacking Live. And then then the engineering process includes coming up with the marketing funnel thesis, which is kind of like the one overarching belief that you need prospects to have before you make your offer. Right? So it's, the big idea gets their attention, creates engagement, sucks them into your funnel, makes them feel like this is new, this is different, this is unique, this is exciting, I want to hear more about this, right? And ultimately, then the message, the funnel leads to the establishing of this thesis, this one overarching belief, this one belief that they need to buy. And in between the big idea and the thesis is what we call the marketing argument, where basically you're laying out an emotional and logical argument for why your prospect, in essence, should believe that your product or service, that your solution is the ideal solution for their needs. And when you take the big idea to get attention, engagement, cut through the noise, cut through the clutter, you put together a rock solid, airtight marketing argument, which, we won't get into the weeds in terms of the steps of that, but the marketing argument leading to the establishment of this thesis, the one belief that they need to have in order to buy, and then you present your irresistible and superior offer, you're off to the races. And so that's the engineering stage. And then just very quickly for time, I'll give you the other three stages. And so the next stage is evaluate. And this is where we actually take this first version of the funnel, the minimum viable funnel, and we evaluate the effectiveness of the idea, of the marketing argument, of the core offer, before we create the upsell sequence, the add-on sequence, before we create the email follow-up sequence, before we create all those things, we evaluate the funnel. In essence, we test the funnel. We test to make sure that we put together something that has legs before we put together all these other components that are unnecessary unless the main core offer works well. After the evaluation stage, depending on the performance, like depending on what percentage of ROI you get, we may either move back to the engineering stage, or more likely we move forward to the enhanced stage. The enhanced stage is really kind of where we add in the elements that were missing. So we follow a certain protocol for adding in the upsells, downsells, add-on offers, email follow-up sequence. And this is kind of the stage where you then begin to optimize. So you've created your initial version of your funnel. You've evaluated it with traffic, with cold traffic. It's met a minimum criteria to go on to the next stage. We then begin to enhance it by adding in things like the bump offer that you guys really popularize, and the upsell, downsell kind of sequence, the email follow-up sequence. And then you go on to the fifth stage. And the fifth stage is what we call expand. And in this stage is when you begin to scale and you expand things like your traffic budget, your audience, your channels, and then ultimately you go on to the next offer. And so, does that make sense?
Holy cow! So basically, you can now take your mouth off of the fire hydrant. That was awesome, Todd. No, it makes complete sense. I mean, this is why I was dying to have you on. I'm so happy you made time for us today. I think it's so important. Honestly, I hope you guys go back and listen to this again. I didn't even want to interrupt Todd as he was going. I mean, Todd, before we got on, we were talking about how this has really become your life's work. And my gosh, you guys have totally mastered this. This is fantastic. Amazing content. That's so cool.
Yeah, I think, and I appreciate that so much. I'm super excited about it. I hope that everybody else is really super excited about it. And I think that, look, we covered, right, we covered our whole, a big 50,000 foot view of our entire E5, camp framework. But I think what's most important for everybody to really, or one of the big things to really get from this is to have a process, to recognize that, you got to start by doing your examination. You have to start by doing the research. You can't ignore it. Yes, it's not the most exciting aspect of what it is that we do. Yes, it can be dry. Yes, it can be time consuming, but trust me, it's where the fodder and the nuggets for your marketing message are going to come. Then we talked about, then you go into engineering. Only after that point do you engineer, and you start with the offer and you put together the absolute best, most compelling, most insane offer that you possibly can, right? And then you have to come up with a great idea that's emotionally compelling, intellectually interesting, and you have to know what's the one belief that you're trying to instill in your prospect, the one belief that they need to have in order to buy, your product or service, in order to take advantage of your offer. And then once you've put that together, don't bother putting together all of these other pieces like the upsell sequence, the back end or anything, until you evaluate and test that the core offer is gonna do its job. And then once you've done that evaluation, then you go on to adding in these other pieces and optimizing. And then after that, then you go and you begin to expand your reach. You begin to roll out that campaign. And so if you really think about that, absorb it, listen to this episode again, I think that you'll find some a clear path to follow and some nuggets.
Oh man, I just love it. Again, to the main takeaways, obviously we talked about the first one. That was the idea as far as your marketing message is actually writes itself by the whole, your product and service at the very beginning. But I think the most important thing I got on all that, Todd, that you just made mention of, and that is the point of starting with the offer. Oh my gosh, we've looked at some of the stuff we've done here recently, and it's been amazing. When you start with that offer, everything else just falls into place, especially if you can, my gosh, as far as if your offer is superior to competitors, it literally becomes a no-brainer for anybody who's looking at your offer. It's like, well, you can screw up a lot of the funnel if the offer's right. So I think that is just awesome stuff.
Yeah, let me say this, Dave. I think that what you just said is worth is worth its weight in gold, and it's so spot on that legitimately when you have an over the top, crazy, unbelievable offer, you really can screw up multiple parts of the funnel and still do well. And so that's wildly valuable. The other thing that I wouldn't say this if I didn't mean it, and I'm not saying this just because I'm on this podcast with you, but one of the best people at creating just killer, ridiculous offers is Russell. If you look at Russell, if you look at many of the offers that Russell puts together, you'll find that every reason for not buying, every excuse for not buying, every potential objection that I could have to not buy, everything that I could say, but what about this, or but what about that, or but don't I need this, Russell builds in to the offer so that you're literally led to the point where you say, and this is the goal, why wouldn't I do this? Why wouldn't I? Right? That's the aim.
Oh, I love it. Todd, you are a magician at this stuff. It's just awesome. I love seeing, and you do such a great job of really breaking things down into such a consumable way of actually making it work for people. That's why I was dying to have you on. Again, for those of you guys, I hope everyone who's listening to this already has their tickets to attend Funnel Hacking Live. If you don't, I apologize for that. You'll make sure you're not there, you don't screw it up next year. But most importantly is understand the stuff that Todd's talking about. Todd he's not new to this game. I hope you guys understand that. Todd has literally been doing this, and that's why we're kind of joking around about it as far as it being his life's work. Todd, you've spent more time on this than anybody I know. I mean, you dive into the numbers, you understand exactly what it takes, and you're a master at really figuring out the prospect and what it is that they want, what it is they need, and how to really push the emotional buttons so that if you create a killer product, it's a no-brainer. You want to make sure that every single person out there uses it, consumes it, and gets the results that you're talking about. So you guys, again, I love working with you guys. You're just amazing.
Ditto, brother, man, like ditto. It's so my pleasure. I was probably equally as excited to be on here chatting with you, man. And so it's always my pleasure. I love what you guys are doing, man. Just, it goes without saying, dude, that, I'm a big fan of you guys and what you're doing. And so it's always my pleasure, brother.
Well, thank you so much. So tell me, how do people get a hold of you? Because I know the very first thing I'm going to get is people hitting me up on email, Voxer, texting, everywhere else. Dave, how do I get a hold of Todd? So if you don't mind answering that question for me.
Yeah, they could just go over to marketingfunnelautomation.com, check out our blog. You could go over to sixfigurefunnelformula.com and just, yeah, man, enjoy. We put out a bunch of free content, and hopefully for those of you that are listening to this that are going to be at Funnel Hacking Live, definitely make sure that you come up and introduce yourself. I'll be presenting as well as doing like a round table gig. And so, man, like, any questions about what it is that I shared on this, if you're going to be there, come up to me, ask me, love to help you.
Awesome. I love it. Again, guys, if you're at Funnel Hacking Live, understand the reason I want to make sure we had Todd on before Funnel Hacking Live is I wanted you guys just to get a little piece of a flavor before he speaks, because as soon as I would recommend that you get a hold of Todd before he talks, because he's going to be bombarded afterwards. So again, Todd actually was going to be speaking. He has a roundtable. I believe Marketing Funnel Automation also is going to be one of our sponsors. So we're so excited to be working with you guys. Again, make sure if you're at the event, you get a hold of Todd, get a hold of his team, spend some time and really make it work for you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, dude.
Love having you again, Todd. Can't wait to see you. And gosh, it's like 4 weeks away. So
I know, I'm real soon. I'm excited, man. And if there's anything that we can do for you guys, if there's anything that you need, and I don't say that as like a, hey, throw that out. If there's anything that you guys need, if there's any, whatever, we're here for you guys in whatever way possible, man.
I appreciate it. Obviously, that goes both ways. Thanks again, Todd. I can't wait to see you soon.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Funnel Hacker Radio Podcast. If you'd like to be notified anytime we release a new episode, just subscribe over at funnelhackerradio.com. In addition to that, we'd love to send you a free gift. You can find that free gift at funnelhackerradio.com/free trial. One last thing is we love giving away cars. So if you'd like access to a free dream car, all you have to do is go to funnelhackerradio.com/dream car and you'll get all the details. Thanks again for listening.